Hello, welcome to episode 3 of Box. Today we're going to be reviewing the 2017 Malaysian Grand Prix, starting off with qualifying. Main points to take from that: Vettel didn't make it out of Q1 due to unknown engine issues. Hamilton pulled out of the bag yet again to get pole just ahead of the Red Bulls, who were on quite a good pace the whole weekend actually, and a great qualifying in particular from Stoffel van Dorn and Esteban Ocon. Adam, your thoughts on qualifying?
Disaster for Ferrari, wasn't it? Simple as that. A race that you felt going into they had to win. The pace was there, we saw that in the practice sessions, and a real disaster for Ferrari. I mean, don't get me wrong, the mechanics and engineers done a great job to get the car ready for qualifying, but obviously then the glitch was a big issue, so a real shame for Ferrari, who needed a strong performance. Great.
Yeah, no, I agree with Adam. Obviously, it's a disaster for Ferrari. It was surprising as well. Hamilton really did pull it out of the bag, so well done to him. You didn't expect him to get
Even
a pole.
though we may hate him, we can admit sometimes that
Over the course of the whole weekend, he was looking off the pace in practice. You know, obviously the Mercedes were looking slower than the Red Bulls, so he expected the Red Bulls to take advantage. Raikkonen obviously was unlucky not to get pole. However, it wouldn't matter as we're about to find out. But yeah, well done Hamilton for getting pole. It was a good lap for me.
So we'll nicely transition on to racing. The main talking point, first off, Raikkonen didn't start the race. It was Vettel on the Saturday and then Raikkonen on the Sunday. There's some theories that the engine from Raikkonen's car was sneakily put into Vettel's overnight, but I don't think that's going to turn out.
I mean, changing an engine is not a 5-minute job. That's physically impossible. That's absolutely ridiculous that people would come up with that. But yeah, just when you think you can't get anywhere for Ferrari, after Vettel breaking down in qualifying, Raikkonen breaks down as well. So instead of starting second and last, they're starting last and not at all. So it couldn't have gone much worse. So in the last 2 weeks, last 2 Grand Prix have just been a disaster.
And they needed Raikkonen to take points off of Lewis Hamilton, which I believe, because of the pace shown in practice from Ferrari, that he would have done that.
I believe Raikkonen would have run the race.
So,
I honestly think
exactly.
he would have his first win.
So it's one less car
since 2013.
between Vettel and Hamilton, and more points lost in terms of the Drivers' Championship.
Adam, it was a good opening first few laps. Do you want to take us through that? What were your main talking points, your main thoughts from the first few laps?
I think the way the track works in Malaysia, it's a great track, Sepang at the start, it's a long run down into turn 1, and it's a great start, so there's always action there. It was a wee bit damp on the outside, so we didn't see too many drivers going off there, but good start from Lewis Hamilton. Initially got away well. Max Verstappen having to fend off Bottas, who actually got a decent start as well, and I think Ricardo had to do a bit of defending there as well, so a good start from Hamilton. But then on lap 4, obviously a great overtake from Max Verstappen, whereas Lewis Hamilton, he's got a championship to think of, and that's what he said. He could have fought Verstappen harder, but he made the decision, obviously, to take 18 points is better than 0.
Yep. So the first 10 or so laps, there was a lot of individual battles going on around. Kevin Magnussen was getting involved with a few people with the Renaults, in particular Julian Palmer having quite a bad race of it, spinning out twice. I think he did actually. Ocon spinning out as well. There's been a bit of criticism of Kevin Magnussen these past couple of races. He's maybe a bit too handy with his car. Craig, what do you think about that?
I mean, he's been feisty. Obviously, in Singapore, what happened with Massa, it was good to see in Singapore though. Him and Massa gave each other just enough room and no more, so it ended up with some very exciting racing. However, obviously, if it had been a couple of inches more, there would have been a plane crash. So yeah, Magnus has maybe been a bit feisty. His mentality seems to be a bit odd this season. He seems quite angry most races almost. Obviously the incident with Hulkenberg, so what he said to him. I don't know, he's swearing quite a lot on the radio, and I'm hoping that's not going to start affecting his driving, because we know with Kvyat being a bit angry in the Toro Rosso all season, I mean that's cost him a seat inevitably now, hasn't it? So I don't know, I think Magnussen just maybe needs to slightly calm down and get his head focused on the racing more than scraps with other
It's
drivers.
strange because he isn't a happier place to what he was this time last year, because you remember at Renault he was getting frustrated, the car wasn't competitive, you know, he was accusing the team of all sorts and not giving 100% to him. He didn't really want to stay at the team. Renault decided to pick Palmer over Magnussen, so he seems happy to be with Haas, a brand new team. I think, you know, a lot of his anger is probably down to frustration, because they've had a lot of reliability issues And they have been competitive at certain races, but reliability issues have let them down big time. They've lost a lot of crucial points.
Yep. So you mentioned Renault there, a horrible race from them. They could have scored some decent points, certainly from Hulkenberg's perspective, but just a terrible strategy the whole race, and just they never really got going for them.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened with Renault, to be honest. I mean, a very, very poor race. What was it, 15th and 16th in the end? And yeah, no, not good at all for them.
They weren't really on it all weekend, were they, though?
No, I mean, Hulkenberg had a decent qualifying.
He qualified top 10, he qualified 8th, which isn't too bad,
Yeah.
but then obviously Palmer was 12th, so it was reasonable. Palmer was a bit of a mess. I believe it was when Verstappen was lapping Palmer and I can't remember who else, but Palmer ended up spinning. And
Palmer
was Magnussen, yeah. He, to be quite honest, just about took out Verstappen. I feel like he almost forced himself into a spin, not to take out Verstappen. They were.
He blamed the spin and the wind, so.
Not sure how much effect the wind can have on a heavy F1 car. But McLaren, I know you're going to want to talk about that in a minute, Adam. But we'll give Craig a word on Valtteri Bottas. 56 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton.
It's unacceptable. He started 4th, 5th, and Vettel beat him from last. You can't defend that. I mean, although Ferrari were quicker this weekend than Mercedes, and so were Red Bull, you can't be finishing behind the driver who starts last in the grid if you're starting, second, third row. I don't know what happened with Bottas. It looks like, I'm not sure, Mercedes maybe have taken a slight step back. Obviously we were expecting them to be a bit off the pace in Malaysia, but they were really in the race quite a long way off the pace. They had been in practice too. Qualifying could have gone worse if Hamilton hadn't come out with a blistering lap. Then again, Red Bull might have taken a step forward. That's maybe why they were ahead of Mercedes here rather than Mercedes taking a step back. We expect Mercedes to be right up there again in Japan. But no, I don't know what's happened to Bottas. Obviously earlier in the season he was proving doubters wrong, winning races, looking consistent, but the last 2 or 3 races he's been well off Hamilton's pace.
Could it be since he knows that he's going to drive for Mercedes again next series, maybe he's off the pace a bit, he's not quite as focused, not quite as determined to do well?
It's an interesting point there. I mean, I always remember when Alonso was at Ferrari, the question, would Ferrari keep Massa? And it actually had the opposite effect, because when Massa was given a contract he performed better. I think in Japan in 2012 he got a podium and he had a couple of good races from that perspective, but I think it might be something to do with that. Maybe when you're under a 1-year contract, I mean, if Bottas did get demoted from Mercedes, where's he going to go in that kind of sense? Is that his career by, a bit like Sergio Perez? Will we get another shot at a top team?
I think
so. Perhaps he was racing for that contract, and now that was his objective this season. It wasn't to win the championship, it was to stay with Mercedes. Now he's got that, maybe he has taken his foot off the gas pedal.
It's quite comparable to Heikki Kovalainen when he was at McLaren in 08 and 09. Obviously McLaren was much faster in 2008, so Hamilton was better than Kovalainen, although Kovalainen, won a race, had a pole position, a couple of pole positions I think actually. He was pretty much thereabouts, proved himself as a good teammate, not quite able to fight for the championship. Then as soon as 09 came around, obviously McLaren had a much harder year, they were further back, but Hamilton still got good results here and there, picked up a win, and Kovalainen was actually absolutely nowhere. Got dropped from McLaren, and then after that he ended up going to Lotus, and his career fizzled away.
Probably deserved a better drive.
You fear for Bottas that if he doesn't perform next season, I don't know if I can see him picking up majorly. He might be able to be battling for the odd win here and there, but I can't see him being on Hamilton's pace. At the end of next season, Mercedes will surely be looking elsewhere. They'll surely be looking at someone who's slightly closer to Hamilton, like an Ocon, or
for sure.
Someone along that lines.
Yep. So Adam, I know you like talking about McLaren on this podcast. Very different fortunes for them at the weekend. Obviously Van Dorn getting 7th in the end, a fantastic drive from him, but Alonso, he had a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, finishing down in, where did he finish? 11th, so just outside the points, but I think he was a decent chunk away from Esteban Ocon in 10th.
It was fine margins where Alonso was concerned. I mean, they left him out a lot longer before they decided to pit him, and unfortunately got caught in a big midfield pack. He was battling a lot of other drivers around there, I think the Haas drivers, whereas because Van Dorn, in qualifying to key, Van Dorn, what a great lap from Van Dorn to get 7th on the grid. He avoided that kind of battle, so he was kind of in a race of himself. Great job from Van Dorn, because Alonso's car actually had the new updates. Whether they worked or not, perhaps they didn't work as well as what they would have hoped for. And he's just came off his best result in Singapore, 7th place. He's done it again, so he's really starting to come of age now. He's now ahead of Alonso in the championship. Look, let's be honest though, in my opinion, that championship, especially for Alonso and Van Dorn, you can't compare it because of the huge reliability issues they've had. But he finally seems to be the talent we all know, and he started to show a glimpse of that recently, so hopefully that carries on.
All the sort of rookies from this year are now starting to show their true potential as we go into the final race of the season. Just one more word on Fernando Alonso. You're usually quite a big supporter of him, but you did criticise him when Vettel was coming through under blue flag.
Yeah, I thought, he knew what was happening, Alonso's, and obviously you could see that Vettel and Ricciardo were fighting hard at it, and he could have easily got out of the way a lot easier than what he did, and that did ultimately cost Vettel. And I think it is down to the frustrations. Alonso knows had he stayed with Ferrari, he'd probably be winning this World Championship this season. And as a driver, the 3 years he's had to endure so far with McLaren Honda, mentally, when he sees a Ferrari lap him every other race, and he must just feel that could have been me. And for a driver like Alonso, who has been so unfortunate throughout his career, yeah, it must just be frustration.
Yeah. So before we go into the awards, a quick word on Pierre Gasly. Had an okay race, to be honest, finished in 14th, which is not terrible, finished above the 2 Renaults and the 2 Silvers. Greg?
You can't fault him. It's his first race. You could say, the rest of the race in the Williams earlier in the season, he struggled, but obviously because he's never raced in a 2017 machine, he's not raced in a car realistically since 2013. So the thing with Gasly is he's not raced a Formula 1 car. He was up against Carlos Sainz Jr., who, as we know, is a very proven quantity. He got through at Q2, Gasly. Both him and Sainz got knocked out then, I believe. And he was behind Sainz in the race, but again, that's to be expected. He held his ground. He ended up finishing 15th, obviously 14th.
See how far behind
yeah.
He was 1.5 tenths behind
his
teammate in qualifying, which was...
That's not much, really. That's a lock-up somewhere. That's essentially what that is. So, realistically, for your first race in the car, that's good. Next weekend, he'll be racing in Japan. That's where he's been racing all year, so he knows Suzuka well. So I think he'll come good there. If Toro Rosso have a good car that weekend, which I believe they will, the car should be quite suited to that track, he could be in the points. Yeah,
but Sainz I think he was 7th by the time he retired, so it would be unfortunate for Toro Rosso in the battle in the Constructors' Championship. Another good race from Carlos Sainz. But do you think Gasly will see out the rest of the year with Toro Rosso?
No, I think they've said that they're going to be giving him the drives when he's not racing in Super Formula. So if Super Formula clashes with a race, I think Kvyat will be back in the seat.
But if he starts to score points, say in Japan he has a good race, do you think that could maybe change and Toro Rosso might?
I feel like
they need 2 drivers to score points in this constructors battle because it is very tight.
He will be getting the seat next season. I feel like they'll let him finish his Super Formula season because he could win the championship there, so I don't know if they're going to take that away from him. Yeah. Saying that, I suppose it depends on what he wants. He's obviously already won the GP2 championship, so is he that bothered about the Super Formula championship, or would he rather just get his Formula 1 career started?
I think personally they might just give the best of the year.
I think Gasly though, his aim for the season is finish ahead of Kvyat at the championship, because he's only got 4 points to Kvyat, so it's not that hard a name. 1/8th place, that's your equal. 7th place, that's your head. So he's definitely able to achieve that.
That'd be very embarrassing.
Good race from overall. So going to the awards. First up, best team and driver. Adam, we'll start with you.
Go for best team has to be Red Bull. Double podium for them. Fantastic pace that they showed. I didn't expect them to challenge, I'll be honest. I expected it between Ferrari and Mercedes. And I think that over the next few races Red Bull could really give Mercedes and Ferrari a hard time, probably work in the favour of Ferrari because it's an extra team between them and obviously Lewis Hamilton. They need to get other drivers in there to take points off of Hamilton. But yeah, for Red Bull, great victory from Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, consistent as ever. So Red Bull, team of the day for me. Best driver, it's a difficult one, a lot of contenders, but I think I'm going to give it to Sergio Perez. Started 10th in the race, he had been suffering from a virus, he had been on a drip, he was even thinking about pulling out of the Malaysia Grand Prix, and you think just how demanding it is, how challenging it is with the heat and humidity in Malaysia.
It's the hardest one of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he could have easily pulled out, but a 6th place finish, very, good drive from Perez once again.
I mean, I think for qualifying, I'd probably give the best team as McLaren. I would honestly say, you look at Malaysia and you think, that's not a track that they should really be doing that well at. There's quite a few long straights. So, with a car that's down on power, to be getting 2 cars in Q3, that's no mean feat. So, and as you've said already, 7th for Van Dorn, I think that was an incredible result for Van Dorn, honestly. He managed to hold it in the race, stay 7th from where he qualified. For the actual race, I'd probably give the best team to Williams. I think that they had quite quietly a very good Grand Prix. They both got knocked out in Q2. I thought they'd be struggling maybe for a point, but they both moved up quite early. I think they both had quite solid starts, up to 8th and 9th. Stroll beating Massa. Again, I think Stroll's coming of age. He's starting to get a bit of consistency. He's in the points most weekends at the moment. So they held their own pretty well. Obviously, Massa was quite tight at the start with Ocon. Personally, it is a racing incident at the start, but I feel like Perez forced Ocon to go into Massa because there was nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
obviously Massa didn't think that he was going to come and hit him. So thankfully, though, bar a slow puncture for Ocon, it didn't really cause it.
Ocon really had to make a choice whether he was going to hit his teammate or hit Massa.
Yeah.
And I think he probably made the right decision.
Yeah. As for best driver, it would be, Verstappen controlled the race, so fair play to him. Considering the season he's had, he's had a lot of crashes, a lot of accidents. You saw how emotional his sister was, and his dad was really happy after the race. He's deserved that after a long, hard season. Along with him, though, you've got to consider Vettel as well. Coming up from, although his car is significantly better than everyone else's that he passed, he was able to beat Bottas in Mercedes from starting last to good. So fair play to Vettel. Unlucky not to get a podium in the end. The tyres just couldn't quite hold on with Ricciardo.
So for me, I'm going to go best team as Force India. They didn't have the best qualifying, obviously. Sergio Perez qualified 6th and he stayed there, but Esteban Ocon qualified way down in 19th, so not great for him, but climbed back up to 10th. I'm hoping that's right because it was
Perez was
No, that's not
Why
right.
does it say that?
Perez was 10th.
How strange.
That's why I said that.
Yeah,
It
Perez
does
was
say on the
Perez
grid.
was 9th and Ocon was
Yeah.
6th.
It's very strange when it says that. I don't know. BBC, you're wrong. But I'm still going to give it to Force India anyway. They've been struggling as of recently, but another good double points finish for them when it would have been easy for them to get caught up in everything and not get it, but they eventually did. More good points for them in constructors. And for my driver of the day, I'm going to go for Lance Stroll. He's really shown his own in the last couple of races. People were doubting him at the start of the season whether he had the potential to be an F1 driver, but he's really outperforming Massa at the minute and really showing why he was given the drive in the first place. So last 2 awards, worst team and worst driver. Adam?
Oh, good question. I think worst team I'm probably going to give to Renault. Absolutely nowhere in the race, only ahead of the Saubers. I'm tempted to give it to Ferrari just because of the reliability issue of Kimi Raikkonen. They threw away a race win there, and they also threw away a race win on the Saturday, not getting Vettel out for qualifying. So reliability issues, which will probably cost them the championship now. Hopefully it will still be exciting to Abu Dhabi, but I'll stick with Renault. And worst driver has to be Valtteri Bottas. Not good enough. Just nowhere. Absolutely nowhere in the race, and we've already said what we need to say about Bottas, I suppose.
Yeah, a risk of being boring. I think I agree with you in both. I'd say the worst team were Renault. They were just not there in the race at all. Most teams, had at least one driver kind of up there. Ferrari, for the one that did start the race, obviously managed to do quite well and get 12 points. Slightly damage limitation considering what it looked like from the start of the race. I would give worst driver to Bottas as well, just because he was so far behind his teammate, getting beat for the man who started last in the grid.
It wasn't as if it was even close with Vettel. It was almost
No, he was well behind Vettel as well,
yeah.
I'd say the next worst driver after Bottas, though, again, like Reynolds, Palmer. He had an absolute disaster for the race. A couple of spins, as we were saying, he wasn't really anywhere. Saying that, he still finished ahead of Hulkenberg, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
15%.
Yeah, one place ahead
Like
of Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg had a bit of a problem with
Yeah,
pit stops or something.
I think it was a disaster the weekend for the team.
Yeah, just not good.
Be looking to change that around when they go to Suzuka.
For me, worst team, it was the same last week, but I'm going to have to go with Sauber again. I mean, these kind of races where you've got people retiring and the order's a bit not what you would expect. They really need to be taking advantage of that, trying to get higher up.
I think
the
they've just
grid, but
given up with this
yeah.
year. I think they've made maybe a fair
It's very
decision to maybe start focusing on next year's car.
It's very frustrating for F1 fans to have these two spots on the grid that are so uncompetitive, and it just makes it. This could be a team that could be challenging as well, but you just got to say, but they're always going to be at the back, and it's just.
Yeah, well, in
it's a little
2012,
waste
look how well Perez got a couple of podiums. I think it was 3. Kobayashi got one in Japan. So they've been competitive before. I think the key is obviously they've got a year-old Ferrari engine in the back of the car, and next year they're going to have
They should close the gap.
2018, which hopefully I'm not too sure. Will they actually be a midfield team? They'll probably still be running at the back, but hopefully it does bring closer. So in races where there is a lot of retirements, we do get to see these drivers and take note of them. I suppose with Verline and Ericsson at the moment, it's just about beating your teammate.
Yeah.
Because you're based in that. That's the first thing that teams higher up.
I mean, obviously, with a team like Sauber, they've been about they're one of the veterans of the grid now. You could say they've been there since 1993. So they had their good days. They finished 4th in 2001. They were bringing good pools of talent into the sport. They brought in Heidfeld, they brought in Raikkonen, they brought in Massa. In the early 90s. When they got the BMW engine, they won a race with Kubica, so obviously they were looking really good for a while. But yeah, I think it's just the money has gone down a bit. It's affected the results and at the back of the grid. But I do agree with you. I think with a year-old Ferrari engine, they're going to be a bit slower. So with the same engine as the works Ferrari team next year, they are probably focusing on next year's car at this stage. They're probably accepting the
just as well they ditched Honda though.
Yeah, and you look at them as a back marker. There's back markers that have been further behind than them. Manor. 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we
had the 3 new 2010 teams, and the only one to score a point was Marussia when they rebranded to Manor with Jules Bianchi in Monaco.
Yeah,
and then obviously Pascal Wehrlein last year in Austria. So yeah, the 3 teams that came in 2010 were a disaster, and that's why it was a shame to lose Manor, because at least Sauber and Manor could fight. Whereas now it's just Sauber, it's really battling your own teammate.
Yeah, and as well as that, as you feel like Pascal Wehrlein's talent is being wasted in that Sauber a wee bit. We know that he's better than that driving.
I think it'd be sad to not see him in the grid next season, but there is a distinct fear it could happen. But I think if it does happen, that's not as good as over. He may end up having a season now. Drivers have had a season now. Massa had a season now.
I'd imagine Mercedes would still keep him as reserve driver, so there's always opportunities if Bottas doesn't deliver next year.
Yeah, I've named Massa there. Alonso had a season out. He wasn't in a car in 2002 after his debut season, so when he came back. So a season out's not necessarily the end of the world for Verline. I don't think he's going to come back like Gutierrez did and have a disaster and a half with no points. I think he's going to come back and he's going to be competitive. So we'll see.
For me, my worst driver, I'm going to go for Kevin Magnussen. Although he did finish 12th, he seems to be on this mission to annoy every single driver on the grid and every single F1 fan, and I think he is succeeding. I don't know why he feels the need to be so annoying, but
he is frustrating other drivers at the moment. It does seem.
Having said that, remember, maybe other drivers feel threatened by him. Look at Max Verstappen with the overtakes he was making. I mean, Sebastian Vettel was basically scared of him. You saw that in Singapore, he wanted him just out the way, basically. And,
Hamilton as well, it's not easy to overtake Hamilton, and he flew by him on lap 4.
So he's a cut price Max Verstappen then. He's just as scary, but not quite as good.
Not got the machinery to prove it yet.
On that note, we will end for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Adam
Thank you.
and Craig for joining me. As always, we'll be back on Thursday with our preview for the Japanese Grand Prix. Hopefully it's a good one. So thank you, and box.